What's up, everybody? Dr. Trevor Wilkins here. I'm known as the Angry Viking Therapist. And if you're new to my channel, I'm a licensed psychotherapist that specializes in things like type A personalities, trauma, high-risk careers, high-stress careers, military, public safety folks, or just people that have dealt with trauma and high stress. In a previous video, I talked about how rational motive behavior therapy, which is my primary therapy modality, can help with the negative side of being a type A personality. I would call myself type A, have probably been most of my life. You can interpret yourself what that means, whether it's positive or negative. But even if it's good and it's given me the tools to succeed, given me the tools to stand up for myself, stand up for other people, be forward thinking, be aggressive, whether that's good or bad in your mind, it comes with some negative things too. And one of those things that it deals with or that it causes problems with is perfectionism. Now, perfectionism sounds like it might be helpful. I want to do things perfect. And if truly you just wanted to do things perfect, we'd probably be okay. But there's some negative things that being a type A comes with, and REBT can help with those. It can help address those. Things like there's a difference between wanting to be perfect and healthy striving. If you haven't noticed yet, in fact, the demand to be perfect would have made me stop this video already because I got tongue-tied a little bit. But that's not what I want. I want to do well, and we're going to talk about how that is a better way to think. That is a better way to interpret things. That's a better way to believe things, or I'd probably never get this video done and pushed out because I mess up all the time. So it's actually pretty good timing, even though I didn't mean it on purpose. But there's a difference between perfectionism and healthy striving. Healthy striving is fine. I want to do well. I might even want to do as perfect as I can, or do the best I can, or do it right. And that inherent need is not necessarily bad. But you're going to see here in a minute how it can turn into a demand that will be actually quite negative. That demand for perfectionism is going to cause some mental health problems. So some of those type A issues will overlap with perfectionist tendencies, like we said before. That high need for control, that fear for failure or fear of failure, placing excessive value on external things. You can hear from plenty of other people on here how placing things, values externally is just going to get you in trouble. You have to have a certain car to impress people. You have to achieve a certain amount of money. You have to have a certain amount of views on YouTube. Lord knows I don't. So I must not, or I must be at least be doing better about my demand for perfectionism and putting things on outside views. But here is rational therapy's view on perfectionism and why it will actually get us in trouble in these type A personalities. We've talked before in other videos how REBT uses a ABC, DEF, but primarily an ABC acronym to kind of deal with showing you where things go wrong in your belief system. A is the activating event. B is the belief that we have about that activating event, and C is the consequence, whether it be emotional or behavioral, what you do with it, how you feel. And we're not trying to get from I don't care from perfectionism. We're not trying to get to a lack of wanting to do well. But you can see in this ABC pattern, I'm going to show you it, in this ABC pattern, how it goes bad. Let's say at A, you're facing a challenge or a task or a goal. You haven't done it yet. You're not upset that it didn't go well or didn't go perfect. You're still facing this goal. What's going to happen? And at C, you have this overwhelming anxiety. The consequence is this overwhelming anxiety. The behavior part of that C or consequence may be freezing, not doing it at all. Doing worse because you're so stressed about it. Not getting any sleep the night before because you're so anxious. And it's coming from this very unhealthy anxiety. Well, what's causing that? Now, as a therapist, we're going to spend some time making sure that we're looking at the right A, B's, and C's and showing you that there is a connection from the B to the C, from the behavioral to the consequence, not directly and only coming from the activating event. People tend to think in this world, and we're kind of taught in this world, and it happens quickly, that the event causes an emotion or causes us the behavior. It's not actually true. Your beliefs, B, about the activating event A is what actually will cause you to have the emotion. Healthy or unhealthy, that's not always bad. It's going to be there. So go back to A. We had this facing a challenge or a task. C was our anxiety. What if the beliefs that we're holding, the B, are things like, I must perform perfectly. I absolutely have to do perfectly, or I'm a worthless piece of crap and I'm anxious about that, right? There's this two-part sentence there. I absolutely must do perfectly, which, by the way, is impossible to prove. And C, or rather the second part of the sentence, I'm not going to erase it. I'm not going to go back. I'm not demanding perfectionism. I'm not going to be anxious about it. But the second half of B is that, and I'm a worthless piece of crap because of it. What if your B or your belief is anything less than perfect is completely unacceptable? Now, I know we like to say that as type A personalities. I know we like to strive for perfection. I know we like to go to things like academies or trainings that they tell us anything except perfection is unacceptable. Listen, I've never been a Navy SEAL. I've heard Navy SEALs say things like anything less than perfection is unacceptable. And I'm just harping on them. But any of those forward-thinking, tier one, hardcore, we can't fail types of people, of course they strive for perfection. Of course they want perfection. And we'll say things like, anything less than perfection, gentlemen, is unacceptable. I know a lot of those people. I counsel a lot of those people. I'm friends with a lot of those people. And I'll tell you, they also know that while striving for perfection, all hell could break loose. It could go wrong. They'll be the first to tell you that perfection is really not possible when it all comes down to it. Maybe perfection in training. Maybe you want to do the exercises perfect. Maybe you want to be as perfectly ready as you can. But perfectionism really isn't real. In fact, those are probably the best in the world at adapting to those non-perfect situations. So that absolute need for perfection, demand for perfection, that absolutistic belief that anything less than perfection is completely unacceptable, or I'm a worthless crap, or we're worthless, or we're no good. It'll be the most awful thing that could possibly happen. I can't possibly stand it. Sounds exactly where anxiety comes from. Now, I'm not trying to change my emotion from anxiety to don't care, happy when I screw up. Well, at least I got a roof over my head. That's all fine. If you can get there, you don't need me. In fact, let me know. We'll write a book together and be rich. I'm just trying to get from anxious to something more healthy, like nervous, frustrated, concerned. Of course I want to be nervous. You think I'm nervous starting these videos out? I know I'm going to mess up. I know I'm going to stutter. I know I'm going to get tongue-tied. I know it's not going to go straight through for a perfect 10 minutes. And I want to do well. I want to give a good product. I'd love to have more views, bring more people into getting help. But I'm not going to demand the perfectionism, no matter how much of a type A personality I am, that perfectionism is rooted in an irrational belief, the demands, these shoulds, these shalls, these musts, these have-tos, these cannot fails. And it's an unrealistic standard that people set for themselves. Again, if you've gotten this far and you've decided, but I want to do well, I know that's healthy. Imagine if you place that healthy statement in the middle. This adversity that you're facing, this thing that you have to do, and I want to do everything I can as best as I can, or I'm going to be disappointed in myself. But the perfection, doing it perfectly and failing to do so, does not mean I'm a worthless piece of crap. That at C, consequence, makes me nervous. Now, maybe these are not your words. These are just examples. So you're going to have to first do things like identify the irrational belief. What demand are you placing on yourself or other people on the world that's not provable? It's irrational. You can't do it. We wouldn't tell our kids that mess up when they come home and say, I messed up, I'm a failure, I'm a terrible person. No, you're not. And we absolutely mean it when we tell them that. This failed and I'm sorry, my heart breaks for you and this sucks. But failure, I'm not going to let my kid believe that she's a failure because she failed at something. I want her to strive to do things well, the best that she can. Not just going to say, who cares? But the irrational demand that she's put upon ourselves, those irrational demands that we put upon ourselves is what's going to lead us to that unhealthy consequence of anxiety. We have to dispute those irrational beliefs. The D in the ABCD in REBT, sorry, lots of acronyms, but us public safety and you military folks love them. The D is disputing or debating. I have to go back to the B, the belief, and dispute or debate. Is it rational or not? If it's rational, then maybe I'm in the right place. And my emotions and consequences are going to be either healthy or beneficial. But if they're not, I'm going to have to reevaluate that B. We have to replace it with a more rational belief. I've talked about some of those already. And I have to have some unconditional self-acceptance. Not, I love everything I do, I'm perfect, or I always have to do perfect things. Unconditional self-acceptance. Take that apart. Unconditional. Cannot put conditions on yourself to accept yourself. Self, you can probably figure that word out. Acceptance. Not perfection. Not everything's great. Acceptance. I'll cover unconditional self-acceptance in a later video because I think it's a much bigger topic. So what are some practical exercises that you can do in order to make this better? First, cognitive restructuring, we call it. Use those ABCs that we've talked about in previous videos and in this one to debate and come up with a more effective thought and a more effective irrational feeling or consequence. Is yours irrational? What about behavioral experiments? Are there other things in life that you have failed at? I bet there is. Maybe this video is a failure. I don't know. But I bet you do. I failed a decent amount. Did that fail when you didn't place impossible demands on yourself make you a worthless piece of crap? I bet it didn't. I bet you've had other things in your life or in your family's life or your friend's life, your kid's life that's failed and you're able to accept that. It's failed and you're able to be okay but disappointed. So one thing I want you to do, please do all the like and subscribe. I hate asking for that stuff, but I really want to spread this message. And in the comments below, what have you done in the past that you failed at that you realized didn't make you a failure? And why does failing now, not being perfect now, make you such a terrible person? There's plenty of us out there that understand this. I'd love to teach you more of this. If I'm the right person for the job, please reach out to me. The site below, theangryvikingtherapist.com. If I'm not the right guy, reach out anyway. Reach out on Instagram, reach out on my website, and I'll be able maybe to send you towards the person that's a better fit for you.